Hey guys, this time on Tim Travels, well, what we've got is a bit of a snowpocalypse going on here. As you can see behind me, this is not normal for us at all. So we've got something a little bit different for you this time on Tim Travels. Tim travels to
The Pantry!
We love exploring new places
Learning their stories
and bringing you along for the adventure.
here on Tim Travels. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make you one of my family specialties. I'm going to make spätzles. Usually it's made with a roast beef, and we put that in the crock pot, and that makes a really nice gravy. But since we did not have a roast beef, that was not in my Snowpocalypse rations grocery list, I happen to have lunch meat roast beef. So we're going to improvise. We're going to use that. We're going to make the roast beef in the crock pot. It's going to be super simple. Then I'm going to show you how to make traditional spätzles from scratch. It's my family recipe. If everybody in the world has it, excellent. Then everybody in the world can enjoy it. All right, so we're going to start by taking roast beef gravy. Super simple, pre-made. You don't have to be fancy. Ooh, I know it's fresh. It made the popping sound. We're just going to dump that right into our crock pot. I like to get all the stuff out because it's all good and I don't want to waste it. We're going to then take a package of mushroom gravy. If you don't like mushroom gravy, you can skip this step. I'm going to just go ahead and sprinkle this across the top to give it a little extra flavor. This is basically my gravy seasoning because brown gravy from the jar is fine, but also it's kind of boring. And I'm gonna put some water in my beef gravy jar, about halfway up. Give it a stir to get the gravy off my, well, it didn't work. Anyway, we're gonna give this a shake. I'm going to do it over the sink. I've learned that lesson before. Mix that in so we've got a good amount of gravy because we're going to want the gravy not only for the beef but to cover the noodles. Spätzles are basically an egg noodle. It's super simple ingredients. It's flour, eggs, and salt. No water. So I've mixed in the gravy. I'm turning this on high on the crock pot. Because this is all pre-made, it's all pre-cooked, we don't really have to worry about cooking it. All we're doing is heating it up so that it's delicious for dinner time. I have just washed my hands, so I'm gonna take the lunch meat, and here's Boop. He wants to inspect, but he's not allowed. And I'm just kind of separating it into slices so that while it's cooking, it gets warm all the way through and it's not just a hunk of lunch meat in there. No Boop. Nope, no Boop. Kind of stir that down in there, cover it with the gravy. Clean up after yourself as you go. It makes it easier to work in the kitchen instead of having this huge pile that you're trying to work around. I wish I could do that for the rest of my life, but here's the reality, that never happens. So we're gonna then take and start our spätzles. You can see I've already got a pot of water boiling. We're going to use our special spätzle press to make the noodles. I'll explain that to you in a few minutes. We're gonna start with our empty bowl. We're gonna take flour. I want a lot so that we can have leftovers because these noodles are really delicious if you pan fry them in butter the next day after they've sat in the fridge. So I'm going to take what is this? This is a half a cup. So that's a cup. I want 2 cups of flour. This is just plain old white flour. If you need special flour like wheat flour or anything like that, I don't know how this will turn out with that. I've never made Spätzles with anything but plain old white flour. Next, we are going to put eggs in here, and I like to actually open my eggs over a little bowl, simply so that if I get any eggshells, I'm not getting them into my flour. We're probably going to start with 6 of these and see how many we need. All right, once we have our 6 eggs in there, I like to take literally just a pinch of salt. I don't know why. It was in the recipe that my mom told me when I was younger. We're going to stir this around, blend these in, and I will be able to show you the texture. We're looking for something that's not like a batter. A batter is going to be too thin. We want it a little bit thicker, almost more like a paste, which is why we start with 6 eggs. If it doesn't come together, then we put in more eggs. If it's too runny, we add a little more flour. So far we've got, this is going on. It's kind of that cracky, dry looking. See, and this is more like a dough. This is too thick. So we're gonna add another egg. And now we're only gonna add eggs one at a time from here on out, just so that it doesn't get too wet too quickly. That is still not enough. This feels more like bread dough. This is too thick. You can see here we're starting to get a little bit, I don't know, more juicy. That's not really the right word, but it's getting a little bit wetter, but it's still not wet enough. We need it to be able to press through the Spätzle press without like needing Hulk Hogan over here to press it through. There we go. Okay, so you see how it's kind of, it's sliding around. That means it's starting to get wetter, which means it will start to be able to be pressed through easier. I'm gonna put another one in. I should have actually started with a few more eggs. Having 2 cups would have made it easier to stir. This just gets difficult to incorporate. The only thing that you're gonna be challenged to find is the Spätzle press, and there is a workaround for that. So this feels like, okay, do you see here? It doesn't really stick to the bowl, but also it's not really sticking to itself. This needs another egg. You're getting a workout with this one. This is my aerobic exercise for today. I am not going to be doing my workout tonight. This is becoming more of what we're looking for. Okay, you see how it gets that stringy quality to it? It's, I don't know, maybe that's gluten? It's doing what it's supposed to do to be able to make the noodles withstand going into the boiling water. Okay, so looks like this. This is how we're gonna leave it. So now we're gonna take this over to the stove. All right, so you want your water to be at a rolling boil. You don't want it to be just that little simmer, because once we add the noodles into it, the boil is gonna come down a little bit. And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our Spätzle press. Looks like this. It's got holes in it on this side. These little ridges let the press sit on the edge of the pot. Looks like this. It's got a plunger. If you do not have one of these, I have not seen one of these anywhere here in decades. If you have a potato ricer, you can kind of do the same thing with your potato ricer. Your noodles are going to be shorter than my noodles are going to end up being. So we take this and we put it over the bowl. We take our spoon and we put the dough inside of the cup. Okay, you can see we've got it almost full. We're going to let this press, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to press it over the water. Right? So you got these nice noodles coming over the water. It's not quite the right consistency. The noodles are really thin, which means I probably need actually a little more flour. So now we're waiting for this to kind of boil up again. We're going to stir these, and they looked a little thin going in. They're going to be fine. They're going to taste delicious. Everything's going to be great. So then I want to move my strainer over to the other side. I'm straining it over a plate because I just don't want to have to reboil my water all the time. I'm just going to kind of take it, put it in my strainer, let it drain out a little bit. And you can see this was really fast, probably under a minute, and these noodles are actually cooked. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little bit of salt to them, because the little bit of salt that we put in the dough really, I don't know if that's supposed to make it rise or what, but that's not really going to give it a whole lot of flavor. I'm going to take a pinch of salt, dump it in my bowl, give it a stir so that the salt gets incorporated, and that's what we got going on. So while this is coming back to a boil, I'm going to refill the cup. You can see how our water is back up to its boiling phase. I'm going to take, ooh, I filled that a little bit too much. You see how it's coming out here? That's a little bit too much. Just a nice, slow, steady press. We wait just a moment, separate the noodles so that they don't turn into just one giant clump. Let them boil again. Strain them, salt them, dump them in the bowl, do it again. It makes a lot more than it looks like it's going to make. So we've got our water boiling, and this time I'm going to kind of do it real slow so that the noodles come out long. No, they're not thick enough. I didn't make the dough thick enough. But, like you saw in that bowl, they're all perfectly formed noodles.
So what's the trick to knowing when they're done?
Okay, if you look in here, you can see how they're kind of puffing up. Like you see this one here is a little puffy and this one here is a little puffy. They look a little thicker than some of the other ones. That basically says it's cooked all the way through. Like I just know what they look like. And that's from practice and eating them over the years. But this does not even take a minute and a half to do. You don't have to use a timer. Just kind of look at it. When it looks like a noodle instead of a clump of dough, it's done. You can see here how that one is pretty thick. This group here is thick. This was the clump at the end that I took off. And it's perfectly cooked all the way through. You don't want to leave them in too long because they will revert back to just mush. And that is not a delicious treat. Now you can see here how these look like they're kind of drying out as opposed to this, which is fresh, which looks rather wet, not just because it's in, it just came out of the water, but because it hasn't had a chance for the air to kind of make a seal around the edge of the noodle. Here is our final addition. All that from 2 cups of flour and 11 eggs. All right. Next, we're gonna plate everything up and I'm gonna show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so while we were away letting the beef heat up, I cut it into shreds so that it would go over the noodles easier. We're gonna use our dinosaur, scoop ourselves out some noodles. With some beef and gravy over the noodles. It's very simple. I'm going to take a taste of it. Bon appetit. It's delicious.
Okay, so my turn now. Not that this isn't the first time that I've had this. We've had this several times, but it's always good. So here's my turn. First time that we've done it with the beef. I like it. We need to do this again. So thanks for joining us for Tim Travels to the Pantry.
To the pantry.
I know it's a little bit different this time, but sometimes you gotta roll with the punches.
All right, we're gonna go brave the Tennessee snowpocalypse and have our dinner.
All right.
We'll see you next time on Tim Travels.